Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and this is my vlog channel. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit more formal. We're going to review all of the DIYs and projects that I did in the year 2024 and rank them on this ranking system that I've created for us. So at the very top, the top tier rank, we have put it in a magazine. Okay, this is only reserved for the things that were truly incredible, things that I'm very proud of, and honestly wouldn't have much to fix if I came back. Number 2 is, why didn't you do it sooner? These are the things that's like, Becca, why didn't you do it sooner? It looks good. Why did we wait so long? I mean, that's really it. It's a positive for sure. The third tier, which is, let's come back to this. It's not horrible, but it's also not as good as it could be. And then we have the last tier, which is DIY. If you're on Reddit, there is a subreddit r/DIY. And I find it so entertaining and it just inspired this little section here. So as you can see down here, I have all of the DIYs that I have at least filmed this year, which, to be honest, this was a very gratifying experience to look back at my channels, because I have 2 YouTube channels. I have a main channel, which I do houseplant stuff. Then I have this channel, which I do more home stuff. And it's really interesting to see on these 2 platforms how much I was able to accomplish. Hopefully next year I have just as many projects, but we're gonna take it day by day. We're gonna start off with my first project of the year, which was the kitchen makeover. Now this kitchen makeover was a revisit of a previous kitchen makeover. So when we moved into the house, we had those honey yellow kitchen cabinets. And I think that wood cabinetry is beautiful if it's the right tone. We had big windows, but there was a lot of trees around, lots of mature trees, which again, I was very happy about, but it did make spaces like the kitchen and the living room, more so than anything, feel like a dungeon. So I originally painted the cabinets white to make everything feel brighter, and it did accomplish that. It did feel so much brighter, but then as time went on, it just didn't last. And so at that point, it was a let's come back to this. We were in the let's come back to this category. And then I did come back to it at the beginning of this year in January. I repainted the cabinets to pashmina, a lot easier to maintain. And it just looks really beautiful and it's bright without being like white, like in your face white. And we got new countertops, which were white. And I think that that made the biggest difference out of everything, because having such a dark surface, I don't know, it just felt so like it was sucking all of the life out of the kitchen. So I love the countertops we chose. They are a solid surface. I also did the DIY backsplash and extended the windowsill. I don't know, I just was able to create a kitchen that I loved. I love that kitchen so much. And because I had lived in the house for a while, I knew all of the pain points of the kitchen. I knew all of the dark spots, like the black holes of the room, if you will, and I was able to remedy them. And I wasn't able to do that as effectively the first time around. So with that being said, I am going to rank this one, put it in a magazine, because I do genuinely feel like it is just so beautiful. Like, it is the perfect little country cottage kitchen and it fits the home in a really special way. It's not like I'm putting my design style on the home. I feel like I felt what the home was giving for several years and then was able to instill that into the kitchen. It's very much cottagecore, cutesy, and I loved it. I think that I'm gonna need to add in another tier, like just like a neutral tier, because I feel like why didn't you do it sooner and let's come back to it. There needs to be something in between that, but I don't know what that should be, but I'm really feeling like it's a little bit too harsh, because I'm looking at this sewing vlog one we have here. So I sewed a bunny bonnet for my daughter for her first, what's that holiday? Easter. I feel like it was such a cute little DIY to do. I just found a bonnet pattern on Etsy, and then I had a pattern for bunny ears because I have that. There's a stuffed bunny in the little basket you can see there. I just used the pattern from that and I put the ears inside of the seam. It was so cute. I mean, just come on. Like, how often is your kid gonna wear a bunny bonnet? So for that, it's a little bit less usable, but it was so cute for the day. And it didn't take me very long. Like, this video was like 11 minutes long, so it probably took me like 2 hours to make. It really wasn't too much. Just for lack of not having a category for it, I guess, why didn't you do it sooner? But I think I'm gonna edit this really quick and add on another tier because it feels like too big of a jump. Hold on. Okay, the chart has been fixed. I just called it You Did It. It's encouraging. It's what it is. I did it. Okay, next up we have the plant room refresh. This one, it kind of feels like cheating because I was really just like editing a previous DIY. What I really liked about this is that I was saving up all these ideas of how I would make the plant room better for like probably a year. So I rearranged the wall wood pieces so that they wouldn't be so far apart and that there wouldn't be as many because I just could not keep up with the amount of plants that the wall required. And it was so much easier to keep the plant wall full and just looking beautiful. So that was a big change. I was able to put the little short shelf on top of the best unit, and I just think that it was a really great use of the space. So I'm gonna put this one and put it in a magazine because genuinely that room is so beautiful and it deserves to be in a magazine. I'm giving myself a lot of pats on the back because this next one I can already tell is also going to be a put it in the magazines, but the custom greenhouse, okay? It was years in the making, so please understand that I am so proud of this project. It was so beautiful. I mean, you guys, it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And I think all the time now about that space and how special it was to me and how special it is. And I can't think about it too much because I do get a little bit emotional because we worked so hard on it for years. I mean, we broke ground in April 2021 and I didn't finish it technically until June 2024. That's 3 years of work. It is the most beautiful building and I am so proud of every little detail because though it took a long time, every little piece of it is custom and it was exactly what I wanted every step of the way. It's just so beautiful. I've spent a lot of time online talking about this greenhouse, so I won't spend too much longer, but it definitely deserves to be put in a magazine. It was absolutely gorgeous. Moving on to a couple of sewing projects. So I have a little series that is kind of ongoing on my channel called Sewing My Summer Wardrobe. First one here is the episode where I made a self-drafted skirt and the Fife tank top. I think it's the Fife or Pfeiffer tank top. I already know that I'm gonna put this in the You Did It category. There's some things in sewing that, self-drafting being one of them, that I am just not very good at. When I try to like trace out like other clothes and sew it and all of these things, it just never feels right. It never feels as good as when I buy a pattern from somebody else. This was the skirt. I was a little bit disappointed with how it turned out. I feel like there are some tweaks that I could make if I was to do it again, but I just wish that there was a pattern that was exactly what I wanted already. I have looked for skirt patterns and I just haven't found the one. So I'm just gonna put this in You Did It because no, I'm gonna put it in Let's Come Back to This because I do think that just with a couple of tweaks, it could be a lot better. But as of right now, I didn't really wear the skirt as much as I hoped that I would because it was just fitting kind of weird. And the tank top too. I have narrow shoulders, I guess, because a lot of the time when I make tank tops, they're very wide, like they feel too wide and they gape a lot up here. I've seen some people tell me to do like narrow shoulder adjustments and I just don't understand why because I don't feel like I have this issue with ready to wear clothing like ever. So I don't know if it's something that I'm doing wrong, but every time I make a tank top, I run across this issue. Anyway, we'll put it in Let's Come Back to It. Because I would like to make another version of this tank top after making a narrow shoulder adjustment. I just need to figure out how to do that. Sewing My Summer Wardrobe Part 3 was this tiered skirt, which was a self-draft technically, but I watched a tutorial by somebody on YouTube, and so it turned out perfect. Like, I love this skirt. It's one of my favorite things in my wardrobe. I'm gonna put this in. You shouldn't, like, why didn't you do this sooner? Because I've always wanted to make a tiered skirt like that, and I just never did. And then now I want to make like 100 of them. So the shirt that I made, the wrap shirt, it's okay. Like, I don't think I would revisit it. Those types of shirts are kind of difficult. I do think it's very cute, but it's a little difficult because I felt like it opens a lot. Classroom plant installation. This is where I installed plants in my friend's classroom, and I've heard some updates from her recently that they look great. A couple leaves have turned yellow and she's a little worried, but generally like that's not a big deal for plants to get yellow leaves, especially if they're growing, because if they're growing, they're putting energy into new growth. So they're not always going to hold on to their older growth. I feel like the classroom did most of the work for me because she has this really big, beautiful, I believe it was a west or a south window. It was really, really great. I wanted to focus on plants that would just be really easy to take care of. And I do think that because they're still alive now and thriving, this is a why didn't you do it sooner? Not quite put it in a magazine, because I didn't do any like crazy installments and make it like extra special. And I've been wanting to do a classroom installation again for a while, so I'm just gonna say, why didn't you do it sooner? Okay, so this video had 2 DIYs that I wanted to talk about. First would be removing the popcorn ceiling. This is a firm you did it. Removing popcorn ceiling is not difficult, but in this one particular bathroom, we put in a new shower head, and this shower head has like a jet setting that comes out the top. Horrible invention. Why did they do that? Okay, at least if we're gonna have that, let's have it like automatically switch back to the regular shower when the water gets turned off. Like I feel like that is a completely reasonable ask, but I used the jet setting to like clean the bathtub or something, and I forgot to turn it back to the shower setting. And so when it was put back up, it was pointed directly at the ceiling. And when Daniel turned on the shower, it literally a jet scraped off a bunch of the popcorn from the popcorn ceiling. So we had to do something about it. We let it sit for a long time, but then we knew that we were gonna have like a tenant living in our house, and we didn't want, like, obviously you can't just have that. So I was going to just replace the popcorn in that one section, but then it wasn't the same color as the rest of this 80-year-old unfinished ceiling. So then I was like, okay, I will just paint the whole ceiling after I've repaired the popcorn. Well, then the paint started peeling off as I was rolling. So the popcorn all had to come down. It wasn't incredibly difficult to remove, like it was actually quite easy. I retexturized it. I let it sit for the recommended amount of time, but then when I started painting it, it peeled again. And I think that the reason that it peeled again was because the ceiling wasn't completely dry from when I was spraying it with the water. And I was using like a tiny little mist bottle. I was not dousing it by any means. But anyway, after, I think I waited maybe another day or something, maybe another couple hours, and it dried more completely, and I was able to paint it. And generally it looked fine, but there were some spots where the new texture had come off, and I tried to fix it, but it was just really hard. And I don't know, maybe eventually I can come back to it. So this one is going to be firmly in. Let's come back to it. Have I convinced myself? I don't want to come back to it. It's going to be a you did it. Because if we ever do live in that house again, we will probably be doing like a very big remodel, and the popcorn ceiling would just all be eliminated in that. The next one, which I'll just quickly say, was painting the walls of our downstairs bathroom. And I also painted the vanity, so I'll just lump that in with this. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. Like, this is a very firm, why didn't you do this sooner? Because that bathroom had just like a really interesting purple bluish paint color, and most of the house was the same grayish, which was horrible. And if you've followed me, you've heard me complain about it a lot, so I won't. But that room specifically was this like purple blue, and I don't know why, but it was a lot. So I ended up painting the top part of it Chantilly lace and the bottom part of it pashmina, which was leftover paint from the kitchen project. And it worked out great because I didn't have to buy anything new for this. 10 out of 10, why didn't you do it sooner? Okay, next up, we have the Faire outfit that I made in one night. And as you can imagine, I wasn't super satisfied with my results. Did it look good? Yes, absolutely. It was very, very beautiful. But this is a very firm, let's come back to it. And the reason is this. Number one, the dress part of it, like the underdress part of it, because this was a 2-part outfit, which was a huge mistake, because why did I decide to make a 2-part outfit? one day before the Ren Fair. Okay. Smart, Becky. The underdress, I used an Etsy pattern, and I'm going to chalk it up to user error, because other people in reviews looked like they had good dresses, but for me, it just wasn't great. Like, I just really did not enjoy the construction of that dress. It was just a lot of fabric. The precision in where I was putting the elastic was just not there. I'm gonna say let's come back to it, because I would really like to fix this dress. And the overcoat, I think, turned out really beautiful. It was very, very cute, but the skirt part of it, I should have cut it on the bias or something, because it was a little bit too boxy. Like, it didn't drape, you know, and if I cut it on the bias, it would have draped, and I had plenty of fabric to cut it on the bias, but that's not something that I knew until later. So I do plan on making at least the overcoat again. The underdress will work if it's covered. Like, if I'm wearing it with the overcoat, it's fine. But I really was hoping that this dress would be something that I could wear I could wear on more occasions than just the Ren Fair, or when I have like something to cover the bust. Like, that just feels like a waste of all of that fabric. Let's come back to it. Okay, this video has 2 projects in it that I wanted to talk about. This is when I went back to the house to finish up the shower. We installed a new shower in our house. And it's something that is firmly in why didn't you do it sooner? Because we hated that shower insert from the moment we moved into the house, but we never did anything about it until a couple months before we left. So we haven't even been able to enjoy the new shower that we installed. Hopefully, who's living in our house is really liking it. It's pretty, you know, beautiful new shower head and all of that. There was, however, a gap in the flooring and the shower, because the unit was just a little bit skinnier, and I don't know if there was a way around this. Like, maybe if we found a unit that was obviously a little bit thicker, like the same thickness as our other one, but because the first insert was probably installed like in the 80s, I don't know if it would have been the same. So there was a gap. I filled it with tile. It was my first tile job ever, and I will say, like, the tiling work was good. Like, it was even, it was level with the other flooring. Like, I feel like that might have been a challenge, but it worked. And does it look incredible? Absolutely not. I think that it looks bad. I did get a comment from somebody being like, this is terrible, and I agree. But there wasn't much that we could do, because we weren't going to rip out all of the floor. Like, we didn't have time. And 2, it's just, even if we were still living in the house, I don't think that I still would have replaced the flooring at that point. That little section, it's like 2 inches wide, would be covered by a shower curtain most of the time anyway. So it's in, you did it, we did it, you know? Also, I'm going to say for this video, I did Daniel's side of the closet, and we had 2 separate closets in this house, for him and for me. And I redid my side of the closet. It just took like forever to do his side, and so we shared my side of the closet. I am annoyed that we didn't put together his sooner, because it was so easy. Like, if I had a partner, it would have been so fast, but I was doing it alone, so it took kind of like half a day, maybe. Anyway, his side was a lot more simple than mine. A closet system is better than no closet system. Like, just having a singular rod going across is like not helpful at all. So I was hoping that at least by like separating it out and adding some shelves, it would be good. I mean, I know that Daniel is a very simple man, so he wouldn't need much. So the next project that we're going to talk about is the new plant room transformation. So that's the room I'm currently sitting in. This room, I can't even describe to you how disgusting it was. It was just a big dog kennel, and I love dogs, but I don't like smelling dogs. Basically, I power washed everything. The floor for sure got power washed. I did a little bit on the walls, but I was like kind of nervous to get the walls too wet. I mean, this isn't exterior space, it's exterior siding. So like, it probably would have been fine, but you know, hindsight's 2020. I just wanted to be a little bit more careful. But anyway, I power washed everything, and then I spray painted everything, or paint sprayed everything. And that paint sprayer has definitely paid me back in, like, I think it was maybe $250 or something like that. And I was like, I don't know how often I'm going to use this thing, but I use it a lot. This place, although not magazine worthy, like, see, this is where it's hard, because it's not put it in a magazine yet, but like just like the walls transformation, I guess maybe put it in a magazine, like a horrible before and after type of magazine situation. You know what? We're going to say put it in a magazine. We're putting it in the dang magazine because it was a really big transformation, and I think everybody agreed. It was gross. Next up was redoing my bed frame. It was my first time ever like truly refinishing a piece of furniture like that, and it was hard. Like, it was not enjoyable. I have seen people strip paint off of wood furniture on TikTok like a lot, so I was like, oh, people do this all the time. Like, it's not hard. There's a few things that they definitely leave out when they're talking about doing this, namely using like a mineral oil or like some sort of wash on the wood after you strip the paint, because there's a lot of gunk, and I thought that I could just sand it off. It was very gunky. I used a lot of Goo Gone, which didn't exactly work very well. There's a lot of things about the project that make it look like a DIY, like it was my first time doing this. Namely, on the headboard piece, you can see the like skitter marks from the sanding process. And I think I was just pressing too hard, and it made some like deep gouges in the wood, because even when I went over it with like 120 and then like 220 or 240 or whatever, like really, really fine like sandpaper, with my electric sander, you could still see the gouges, but you couldn't see them until after the finish was applied, because I put a stain and seal combo. So 2 layers of it. And when I put that on, you could see all the skitter marks from the sandpaper, the sanding process. And I tried not to show that part too much in the video because I was a little embarrassed about it, but mostly I was frustrated. And there's just some things that, like, when you are feeling a certain way about it, you shouldn't put it online, because people are going to make comments, and they could either be encouraging and be like, oh, I wouldn't have even noticed, or they could be like, yeah, this looks horrible and you should redo it. And I just didn't want to like take that gamble of what people might say. Well, I guess I am now, but you honestly can't see it when all the pillows and the stuff is on the bed, because I've been using it for months and I haven't even thought about it until this moment right now. So I don't know. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but I do think that this bed is very, very, very beautiful. And I'm very happy that I found it like on Marketplace for $300 when it is actually retailing now for like $2,000 or $3,000 or something. So it's great. I really like that bed. But all in all, like, I'm going to put that in, you did it. Because I did. So we're down to our last 3 videos here, which are also the most recent DIYs. The styling my plant wall video. So as you can see, we installed these big shelves. They're from Nathan James. They're the Benji shelves, and there's 6 of them. If you're interested at all, they're gorgeous. I would definitely say put it in a magazine for this one. Like, I'm just gonna like toot my own horn here because they look so good. And I feel like the wood color is just like a perfect match for all the furniture I currently have in here, and it just is a beautiful way to display my plants in a way that feels remnant of my old plant room but is its own thing. Like, I really like having a big display on the wall. I think that is so impactful and beautiful, but this one is so much easier to maintain. Number 1, because it's not completely filled with plants, and number 2, because it's just not that tall. Like, I can reach it almost from just standing height. I mean, I do have a step stool that I need to get like to the top plants, but there's like 3 plants up there, and it's a lot less daunting than having to climb a ladder and take care of like 9 plants up at the top of a plant wall. Not that I didn't enjoy the ladder wall, like it was so beautiful, but admittedly, like, it was annoying to take care of, and I would have continued to but I don't know. Like, I just really like that this one's a little bit different, and I can do more with the wall than just put plants on it. So it's been a fun, like, little challenge for me to style it, and I have fun ideas for refreshing it for the holidays and, you know, all of the things that I want to do. So definitely I'm gonna say that's a put it in the magazine because it's just so beautiful. Okay, the second DIY that I've done in this room is the plant pulley system. I'm really proud of how it turned out. Like, I did the thing that I wanted to do. So I kind of want to put this in, you did it. But like, that feels really anticlimactic, but it kind of does feel anticlimactic. Like, I like the wood crates. I like the wood ladder frame that I made. It's just not as impactful as this wall here, you know? And I'm still trying to figure out ways that I can make it better and more impactful. It's literally right behind the camera, so that's why I'm looking up. But it just, I don't know, it just feels kind of at this point. Like, I'm proud of it that I was able to like figure out how to engineer it. I feel like that was like a big feat for me personally, because I really wasn't sure how I was going to make it work, especially with like the weight of the plants. But it just, at this point, I feel like it needs to sort of live a couple more months, and I need to think about it and how I want it to be better. And I think once the plants get a little bit more mature and maybe trail more, it'll feel more impactful. But right now it just feels a little bit like I did it. I finished it. I don't know. Maybe it's a let's come back to it. Let's put it in let's come back to it. That feels like slightly more accurate. Also, like, not in a negative way, but just I feel like I want to do more with it. And the last thing, I mean, I don't even know if it's necessary to put this in, but my holiday DIYs were another project. And I'm going to say you did it, because I did. Like, that's such an anticlimactic answer again, but yeah, I really love the big bow that I made. This like huge red bow is iconic. It's so beautiful and I love it so much. Like, it's exactly what I wanted. All in all, the bow is definitely my favorite of all of those. Your guys' favorite from that video was the embroidered letter, which I was a little surprised by, because it just felt like, I do felt letters a lot, so I felt like maybe we would be bored with that one, but a lot of people really liked it. So anyway, you guys, it's been a great year of DIYing, and like I said at the beginning of the video, this next year of my life is going to look really different. I guess if you've made it to this point, I did get a job, like a big girl job, corporate America. I'm excited for a new chapter and to figure out like new ways to DIY and be creative in the midst of all of that, because being creative is a huge part of who I am. Like, I'd say it is like one of the biggest parts of who I am, and that's not going to go away. And it'll be interesting to see how it sort of evolves in this new phase of life. But I'm excited to take everything that I learned this year for all my DIY projects and apply it to the next year, because I do still have so many ideas. Like, we've got a whole garden to build. We've got a garden shed to transform into a flower shed. We have things that we're going to be doing, and I'm super excited about it. And it'll just be like a slightly more realistic view, because I'm going to have a 9-to-5. And I know that most of you, if not all of you, have 9-to-5s as well. So I am going to be still taking you along the journey of doing all my fun projects. It just might look a little bit different. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not going to be different at all, because it probably will be. And I don't know if I'm fully ready to acknowledge that yet. So we will see. I'm a little heartbroken, obviously. But at the end of the day, you know, we got to provide for our families. We gotta be adults, and it's going to be a cool opportunity. Like, where I'm working is actually very cool. I'm not going to share really anything about it besides that it's a very cool place and everybody seems awesome. So it'll be fun. It'll be a really great professional challenge. We'll see. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. And I do definitely plan on doing some sort of Q&A about what I just said, and, you know, a beginning of the year Q&A or something like that. So let me know if you have any questions about these projects, any questions about like future. I will put together a little Q&A, probably also from Instagram. But if you have anything, you can leave it in the comments here too. I will see you guys later. Bye.